Welcome, welcome. How are you all? I hope you're well. I love you all. Your happiness is important to me. Since you're here, you're probably all seekers. Seekers after some final truth, ultimate truth. Seekers after love. Seekers as to find out who you are, what your power is. Seekers after energies, Shakti. Seekers to know who you are or what you are. But as I've said many, many times, you can seek and learn about yourself for 10 lifetimes in a row and still not begin to exhaust a full appreciation of who you are. As I've said many times before, your spiritual mansion has many, many, many rooms. And each room may take years to explore. For example, just the void, just emptiness. All of Buddhist religion and philosophy is about emptiness and the relationship of emptiness to perception. And what the attaining of emptiness means for you on a human or a spiritual transcendental level. On the other hand, if you follow the path of the ancient Hindus saying neti, neti, not this, to all perceptions, I am not my hand. If my hand were gone, I would still be me. I am not my arm. If my arm would be gone, I would still be me. I am not that chair. I'm not the chair I'm sitting in. I'm not the wall behind me. I'm not the nose that I can see or my glasses. I'm not this, not this, not this. And you explore everything you can think of and perceive, and you say, neti, neti, not this, not this. Doing this for a long period of time, and this is just one room in the mansion. After you've said, no, not this, I am not this, to everything that you can perceive and conceive of, everything you can feel, everything you can hear, everything you can touch, what are you left with? Well, logically, you're left with the perceiver, the witness, the seer, the hearer, the feeler. But that core, that subject cannot be found, because all it can be found are sense data, experiences, phenomena. The perceiver cannot itself be found. So, Advaita say, that what you are is beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond human existence. It's the absolute. And the absolute was not born. It's not part of the world of perception. And you are that unborn. So let's say you've been in this Advaita Vedanta room for 30 years. And you finally realize yourself as a witness, the unborn. What has that given you? It's given you a certain peace, because from this conceptual position that you've adopted for yourself, you are beyond all phenomena. No phenomena touches you, including death or life, for that matter. Not the void, not the energy body, nothing. So you spend 40 years in this room, and you go to the next room, which is Robert Adams' room. And he says, you're not this, 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 you're not this. And this room you spend 10 years in. And at the end of it, what do you see? I'm not this, but I am this. I am not this consciousness, but I am consciousness. Because the witness is part of consciousness. Therefore, everything I see, hear, taste, and touch is me. And I am that consciousness, not separate from it. I am the totality of consciousness, and therefore I am immortal. Because I'm the totality. The body may die, but consciousness persists forever. If not in this body or with this body, in some other body, maybe Spencer's body, maybe Ken's body, Enrique's body, Angela's body. And that room you've spent 10 years in. And what has it gotten you? The same thing as the previous room. Peace. Because it's gotten you away from any suffering, any doubt, any fear of death. And that's what it gets you. But basically, this is a position or spirituality of two things: the perceptual field, what you perceive, and the concept that the perceiver is separate from the perceptual field and is therefore outside of the perceptual field, or with Robert, it's part of the perceptual field. What do these get you? Peace. Max can finally forget about his fucking PhD and his wrecked car. Angela can get away from the Netherlands. Albert can escape Germany and go to a nice place like Vienna and ride the gondolas all day long. And Ed can get away from the Arizona heat by becoming the witness of the heat. Now, these two rooms have taken you 50 years to explore, and you're pretty old now. You're about to die. And still, you're not satisfied. Because the identifications brought to you by these teachers, Nisargadatta and Robert and Ramana, are very narrow definitions. You're the witness or the perceiver. But the witness and perceiver cannot be perceived. So in essence, you're nothingness. Within the perceptual field, you are nothingness because you don't exist in the perceptual field. You don't exist in the world. You're not a human being. You're a perceiver. And as such, you become a witness to your own life. You don't live your own life. These are just 2 rooms. And there are hundreds of rooms. There's the room of the void. The room of the void is hard to describe for someone who hasn't experienced the void. But it's obtained by looking within repeatedly. At first seeing the darkness within, and then just by the act of repeated perceiving within, you become aware of the light of consciousness within, which illuminates the darkness within and reveals an inner space. And the more you do, you push out the light of consciousness to illuminate the dark inner space around you. You push and push and push the boundaries out. And the light, the inner light of consciousness is soon everywhere, within 6 months if you practice it strongly enough. And this is another room. There's nothing in this room but light and space. And you carry this room around with you after that to all the other rooms. You carry emptiness with you. You carry the void with you. You carry it into the perceptual world and into your sense of self. Again, this is a lot like Buddhism. For Buddhism, emptiness, the void, is essential because it describes the origin and where phenomena go. Out of the void comes all perceptions, or nothingness comes all perceptions. And into nothingness, all die away. Now, having practiced these 3 practices for many, many years, I can tell you, although they may get you peace, you'll never feel rested like you know yourself. You will continue to search because these 3 rooms really don't scratch the itch that causes you to seek whatever you're seeking. But there are several rooms that you can practice, or you can go into, that can satisfy that itch deeply because they're not empty. Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta, Robert Adams, Ramana, Nisargadatta, all take you either to the void, which is experiential, or to nothingness, which is the lack of any experience or perception whatsoever, which is beyond the world, beyond humanity. You attain Robert Adams-hood, you're not human anymore. If you identify with the totality of consciousness, you're not human anymore. But what this is a matter of is identification. Most of us come here thinking we're a human, searching for something, whether it's our true self, the nature of existence, truth. And that search can go on forever. You can find it in Advaita Vedanta and Robert and then say, well, I'm still itching. Is that all that there is? And then you do a two-step over to Nisargadatta, who adds a little flavor on that basic understanding. Maybe then Ramana. But you're still itching because you feel there's something wrong with this solution. It doesn't really see who you are. It sees a certain narrow aspect of who you are, which is consciousness itself, or nothingness, or the perceiver, or the absolute. And it's missing humanity. Same with Buddhism. In Nirvana, you're not human. You're Tathagata, the transcendent, who has gone to the other shore of existence. But what about us? What about the humans that are searching for a better life, or who are suffering? Suffering people go to Robert and Nisargadatta, and it gives them a way out. But there's another path for suffering people, which is a path for all people, if they're willing to follow it, which is to really suffer the suffering. It takes you to explore emotions. It takes you to exploring your humanity. It takes you to finding the various energy centers in your body, like your heart, the third eye, your sexuality, your soul, and your gut. This path makes you fully alive. In this path, you explode with energies. You explode with bliss. You explode with yearning. You explode with the life force. And when you can't stand it anymore, the life force shows itself to you, reveals itself to you, just like Krishna did reveal himself to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. And when the life force reveals itself to you, you are transformed into God. And the strange duality exists of you and God dwelling side by side in your body. You're like Christ, half human, half divine. So you have both. You have the transcendent, which is the life force, or God, divinity, and you have your body with your mind and your personality. Instead of identifying with a narrow something or other like the witness, the unborn, consciousness as a whole, the totality of consciousness, you identify with everything that you can perceive. You learn how to feel. You go out at night and lie on the ground or on the roof of your house where it's a little cold. Maybe you have a blanket on top of you. And you look up and you see the Milky Way in all its splendor. And you're astounded and you're awed by the distances and the vastness involved. 2 hours later, a fog comes and you can't see anything except the fog around you. With the illumination of streetlights or whatever it is, the moon, which illuminates the fog, and it's an intense white with brightness where the illumination comes from. 2 hours later, lying there, it starts raining. a gentle rain, and you feel the rain on your face, the drops dropping. And you're cold now. Your body feels cold all over, from the tips of your toes to your legs to your thorax, and you start shivering. So you go inside, warm up for a while, then you go onto your computer, check your email, and you get a love letter from your lover, where she or he speaks about how much they miss you, how much they want to be with you, how much they love you, how much their body trembles to be with your touch, how they're exploding in energies themselves now, thinking of you. And you feel happy because you feel loved, knowing someone somewhere loves you. This is a path of feeling. This is the path of getting increasingly into feeling. This is the path of recognizing your primary identity as the life force, not necessarily you as a body or a personality, as Enrique or Spencer or Mark, but as the life force. When you look within and you feel within, you can feel your own life, the life of your body, the life of your mind, the life of your energies, the life of your sexuality, the life of your will, the life of the energies flowing inside, the kundalini, or the chi energies, which are different channels. And you say, all of these are me. All of these are me. Then you go and read that letter again that your lover sent. She's very detailed. He's very detailed. She says what parts of her body are most affected by the energy of thinking of you. Her heart, her back, her neck, her buttocks, her vagina, her head. All of these have a different feel, a different kind of trembling, a different kind of energy. She feels totally alive as she's writing how she's feeling or how he's feeling. And you notice how you react. What happens in your body? Does your heart open? Does your genitals open and feel energy? What about in your gut, your heart, where your power is? What about your third eye? Does that open too? Do you see things in the inner world? Do you see energies within yourself? Do you feel the energies rotating within yourself? Do you feel the energies moving up your spine or in the inner part of your body, upwards, in different channels in the spine? Do you feel power in your fingertips? When you concentrate on your hands, do you feel the hands tingling with energies? Because if you can do that, you're just about there, about feeling them throughout your whole body. If you focus on your body, your heart, your gut, your genitals, your breathing, your ass, soon your whole body will shake under the power of attention as more and more of you is revealed to your awareness. I have these energies. I feel bliss. I know that I'm really life itself, not just emptiness, not just the perceiver, not the ultimate, but I'm a living, breathing, hurting, enjoying, pleasured, hurting human being with these vast energies that I can call upon because they're the energies of the life force, which I really am, and are not a limitation of me as being a human being. Me as just a human being cannot experience this, but me as a human being, and also recognizing that I am life, can begin to go deeper into all my different senses and channels of understanding and of feeling. And I grow and grow and grow and continuously growing. It's a continuous movement of inward and outward exploration of feeling, of emotions, of attachments and desires. And when you begin to feel the entire body of things you are, from tremendous desires to tremendous inner energy, to the energy of breathing, to the energy of lust, to the energy of thinking, of desiring, of having a will. Again, you are way beyond being human. You're also the divine, with ways of perceiving and knowing and acting in the world that were unknown to you just 10 years before you started identifying with the life force, with life. And after you've done this long enough, it's, as Nisargadatta says, it's like the life force is pleased by your efforts and reveals itself to you. And that's real enlightenment. That's realization of the manifest self, the life force that is manifest in the world through your body, your personality, your energy, your knowing, your brain. And you recognize your mortality. This flame in you of life is only going to shine for a few decades. Maybe like my mother, almost 100. Maybe like me at 29 years old. I've got a lot of time to go. Beat up 29. So, which path do you want to take? You want to continue to take path of Robert and Nisargadatta, where you escape suffering but lose your life? Or do you want to take the path of the life force, of energies, Shakti, of sexuality, of feeling, of being a painter, being a musician, expressing yourself, knowing yourself, exploring the manifest parts of you rather than the unmanifest parts of you? Are there any questions? Are there any long-winded statements?
I got one.
A long-winded statement or a question?
Just some feedback. So, so I've been working on being grounded in the I am, entering into the inner silence, that fullness, that full silence, which is a cloud of consciousness against which my body mind seems to be superimposed on. I think your point is not to neglect what Robert and Nisargadatta and Ramana are teaching, but to balance it out with the body mind, with your human life, to realize that your human life is a subset of the stillness within, that it is flavored by it, but the stillness within is the backdrop, is the screen against which it all manifests. So to me, it's a balance of both. That to just enter into your humanness without the grounding and without the wisdom of the communion of the true self, of the field of consciousness, would be not as good. So obviously, now that we've experienced, or some of us have experienced, the thing that Nisargadatta was teaching, then the next step is to keep it going, but also to explore our humanhood at the same time. So to explore the humanhood against the backdrop of the stillness within. So that's my paraphrasing of what I think you're teaching.
Yeah.
In a simple way. Would you
Well,
agree that's a fair statement?
That's a fair statement for you.
Right.
It is, in a sense, fair for me too, because I spent so many years in the void and in emptiness and in Nisargadatta and in Robert, that I know all aspects of that and found it wanting. I found it wanting even when I was there, because I traipsed off to Muktananda to get some of the energy that Muktananda had, which was totally absent in Advaita and in Robert. Robert had no energy whatsoever. But what I'm saying, exploring even more so, is life rather than humanity. Own your humanity, but find out there's more to you than you thought that there was as a human being. There are aspects of you, rooms inside of you that you have yet to explore, such as the energies, such as Kundalini, such as Chi. And there are different kinds of energies, and you become aware of all of them. And once you become aware of the energies, it's a boost for your practice. You feel as if you're getting a tangible feedback for the effort you're putting in. You're beginning to see things inside of yourself, and insights will come to you that you didn't know about before. And then when the energies really start waking up in you, they can become quite obsessive because they're so powerful and they take your attention totally. But energies aren't all of you. I mean, there's more to it than that. And Shakti is the life force, you might say, but how the life force manifests in you, in your body and in your mind and your personality, is more important than just the concept of Shakti or of energies. Like in you, does it manifest as a Kundalini thing, or does it manifest in different kinds of energies? What does these energies make you do? Do they force you down a certain path of self-exploration? Do they sharpen your sexuality and make you want to explore sexuality more? Do they run into your brain and light fires in your brain that cause you to develop different kinds of powers, siddhi, to play with? You know, how does it manifest in you? And that's the important thing, is after you discover them, what do they mean for you? Is it a new dimension for you, or is it something that is being teased out of you, something to be explored? How do you work with your habits? How do you work with your habitual ways of responding? How do you work with the ideas that you've had about yourself and others? All of these change, and they're constantly changing as you develop. It's constant movement. It's more than psychotherapy would be a subcategory of this, of entering this room of endless change and exploration, this mansion with its many rooms. But you get the hell out of the Nisargadatta room alone, or the Robert room alone, because they're basically for suffering people. Which room are you in, Max?
Suffering room at the
Suffering.
moment.
Which room are you in, Dinesh?
Can you hear me, Ajay? Yep. I don't know, Ajay.
to me, I'm kind of, I feel that I am is just part of everything. When I'm angry, or when there's an emotion, that's what I am is at that point in time, and I'm just kind of dive into it. And then there are other times when I am is perfectly silent, and it kind of flows up and down, and I just go with it.
That's right.
It's unbearable at times, but it is what it is.
You look a lot younger. You must have got a haircut.
Yes.
I thought you looked like a youngster in a prison uniform, a yellow jumper suit. Good for you, Janish. Ananda, what does it mean for you? Where are you? Your microphone's not working still? Angela, what about you? Where are you? What are you?
Both in suffering as well as in coming totally alive, feeling energies all over my body, sometimes very subtle, sometimes explosive, and emotions as well, coming and going and changing all the time.
What is it doing to you? What are the energies doing for you?
The energies bring me to total aliveness, to knowing the difference between aliveness and zombiehood. They sometimes bring me to my knees in gratitude. They bring me to a feeling of being connected to God, sometimes, whatever that means, to the light, to truly connecting with other people, with actually everything and everyone around. To humbleness. But humbleness also has to do with emotions. Yeah, many the emotions and the energies, they really go together. They melt together. So very many of the things I'm mentioning, they're energies and emotions coming together.
But the energy and emotions are experienced differently, but at the same time.
Yeah.
What about you, Enrique? Where are you now? Which room are you in? Ken, what room are you in?
I just feel I'm more
What?
I just feel a lot of appreciation for everything that I have in life now. It's not perfect, but I'm just happy.
Very good.
And I am so appreciative of the teachings, not only from you, but from previous teachers that I had before. And I think now I am feeling the teachings more than just mental intelligence. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Albert, wo bist du?
I am relaxing into feeling, I would say. Just letting things happen and not insisting that the world has to turn my way or that I'm the navel of the world, but just be with what is. And also at the same time being aware what is going on within me when I'm aware of what is going on the so-called outside. And also trying to relax my body, just letting it move by the, like now, by the energies that are coming.
What energies do you feel?
I don't define, I just let the body move. It's called kriyas. My teacher says it is good to let these happen when they come, as long as they come, because that will help to automatically be calm and go into silence, and breath will subside and you just are.
But you don't feel energies. You just let them go through you. So that what you said?
Yes. I'm not trying to describe. I'm not trying to compare. I just let it happen, whatever happens.
Okay, thanks. Sindria, can you turn on your microphone and we'll hear a different world altogether? Sindri is shy. What about you, Mark? What room are you in?
Which Mark are you referring to?
Oh, I've already talked to you. The other Mark.
Okay.
Cunningham.
I'd say I'm firmly in the suffering room right now. Emotions take me hither and thither all the time.
What kind of emotions?
Fear, sadness,
Thoughts of death?
what's that?
Thoughts of death?
Of my own death?
Of any death?
Oh. Sure. Yeah.
Grief?
Yes.
Loss?
Yes.
Sadness is a wonderful feeling. It's the closest feeling you can get to that goes all the way to your core. You can ride sadness down into your core by just dropping with it into your body. And it'll take you right near your core. So use that sadness. Drink that sadness. Eat that sadness. Abide with it. Own it as your best friend, because it can become your best friend. I'm really speaking the truth about this. Sadness is the best best emotion to feel, because it can take you so deep into your own self. And in a sense, it's deeper than most kinds of love, but there are certain kinds of love that are just as intense or more intense than sadness. But that's a good place to be, recognizing that and dwelling there, staying there. Feel it in your heart, the sadness. Let it come into your heart. Let it own your heart and your inner being totally, and watch what happens. Watch what happens when the energy is released of the sadness. It'll fill you with bliss. Spencer, I don't want to overlook you. What room are you in?
I'm just in the human room, just trying to make a living and interact with other people, and try not to bother them too much, but try not to completely ignore them.
What about your inner life?
My inner life? Just feeling intensely emotions, sometimes anguish, and other times, sometimes feeling ecstatic, sometimes feeling panic, other times feeling calm and relaxed. I guess just going back and forth between those things, and mostly feeling emotions that come up with my relationships to other people. How, when somebody does something that disappoints me or says something that disappoints me, or feeling bad when I don't meet somebody else's expectations. That's what I've been feeling and dwelling on a lot.
Dwell there. Stay with those emotions. Stay with the feelings. Slow them down. Slow them down so you can really intensely feel them all the way, rather than let them just race through. Slow them down and feel them intensely. Now, Nathan, I can't pronounce your last name because I can barely see it with these glasses. But how do you say your last name?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You cannot hear me?
Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't.
Oh, sorry.
Looks like Nathan. What I'm going to do again.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, it's fine. It's van Heinsberg. I'm from the Netherlands also.
Uh-huh.
Hi.
Hello.
That's my last name.
Hello. Tell me
Hello.
about yourself. Tell me about yourself.
Oh, okay. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm just reading your book at the moment. And so it's first time here. Thank you.
Yeah, tell me about yourself. Who are you?
You mean like my personhood life?
Whatever you want to say.
I'm finding out a lot of stuff at the moment, and I'm being flipped inside out, outside in, inside out. Sometimes sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not there, and yeah. I'm having a lot of interesting experiences, yeah. I don't know what I should tell about it.
Just hang around. Keep coming back.
Sure.
You'll feel more able to talk the more you come.
Yeah.
Max, what about you? Oh, we already covered you. You said you were in suffering. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What can you say about Carl Rogers? And I saw on Facebook you said Robert and Carl Rogers were the most powerful males you'd ever met. But how could Robert be powerful if he didn't have any energy? Or what was it that about him that you considered powerful? And why did you consider Carl Rogers powerful?
Robert, I've never met anybody like Robert or like Carl. Robert was not in this world. He was in this world, but his mind, his attention was not in this world. It was somewhere else, a different dimension, a different feeling altogether. It's like he was always floating 6 feet off the floor. It's hard to describe. And the stuff he came out with turned everybody's world upside down, the words. Just like you've read his transcripts, you know the impact they can have on you. So he was utterly consistent, utterly out of this world, utterly unmoved by anything that bothered other people. And he thought it's funny that people got so upset about little things like death, chronic illness, cancer. Thought it was silly that they got so upset about it. Carl, on the other hand, when he came into the room, everybody's eyes fixated on him because there was something about his personality that was so magnetic, so attractive. It was like a 1,000-pound man had entered the room. The whole room was dominated by his energy because he was so much into the grief of his wife dying the year before. It was so much heaviness, but the heaviness was felt so great because he wore it like wore it like one would on a cold day, wear 3 blankets around you and being totally comfortable with the 3 blankets. He was totally comfortable with his grief and with his heaviness. And his heaviness affected everybody very deeply, like a bass drum. When it goes off, it shakes your whole body. Or a tuba, when it hits a low note, you could feel it throughout your body. And we could feel his gravity, his depth, by being in the same room with him and listening to his words and watching his body language, watching his face. He clearly demonstrated every emotion that one could speak of in his face and in the way he carried himself. It was a very moving experience being with him. Didn't want to let him go. Just wanted somebody with that kind of open emotionality to be around because you felt so comfortable feeling emotions yourself with him around. And that was his whole teaching method, which was to listen very deeply to others and reflect back at them more or less to help them understand where they were better, because the therapist, as him, could feel where you're going with these feelings and he could sort of lead you, but only half a step, so it was never out of your reach. He was very gifted in reflecting back in a way that helped you understand where you were even better. That's the 2 different kinds of power. Both were powerful in their own way. Both had an enormous impact on me emotionally and spiritually. And it's only in the last few years that I've been able to combine the 2, like Mark Anderson was talking about. And that is a real reach, to be able to take both of them, to combine both of them. That is enlightenment, true enlightenment, when you can have both the emptiness and the nothingness and Robert's world and Nisargadatta, and at the same time have Carl Rogers' world of emotionality and Ananda's world of energies, to wrap them all together and to have the totality of all this aliveness, this life force within you, with the intellect being able to feel, to understand things, the heart being able to feel things, to feel the world, to feel emotions, and within the context of emptiness, of the void. When you've got that, you've got everything. But you keep growing; it never stops. The new understandings come, the new experiences come. It always changes. It's constant movement. Once you enter the energy path from the voidness. Any other questions? Chat. Oh, Sindria. I bet you that's Sindria. Okay, Edgy, can't get Mike to work. Even technology is shutting me up. Ordinary life is my room these days, loving the elliptical machine and the snow and salad. Well, okay. I can understand why you'd love the salad and the machine. The snow, I don't know about anymore. I used to like it, but being away from it for 40 years, I don't know whether I'd like it anymore. Good hearing from you, Cinder. Glad you're coming. Well, we did a little group processing. We did a little individual processing. We had my usual talk about energies as the way to go as opposed to the void, because it's so hard to get out of the void once you get caught by it. You can be there for 40 years like I was. I much appreciate the path of energy now, even to the disparagement of the void or nothingness. Now I don't mind dying. I don't mind the temporality of this body, of the energies inside of me, of the life force. Because the life force is there all the time for everybody. And it's not that I identify with the life force as being eternal. I know that the life force, once it leaves this body, Ed Muzika is going to be dead. No longer you're going to have Ed around. And it's okay. It's okay, because I'm experiencing me now in this moment, and it's wonderful to feel as alive as I do, and to be able to make other people feel alive as I do. So, why don't you carry on for a while? Talk to each other. Criticize each other. Find fault with each other. Love each other. Be happy, and I'll see you next week, same time. Bye-bye.